PoE, maybe, will make their season or their league launch based upon D4 Season 7. So you've got D4 Season 7, you've got Titan Quest 2 Early Access, you might have another Torchlight season, and you've got a PoE League, and who knows what we're going to get as far as major content updates or patches from Path of Exile 2. And then I don't even look at the calendar for what, like, AAA games might be coming in Q4. I'm guessing it is going to be packed. And I do think this is a little bit of a problem that's going to keep coming up for EHG, is that, you know, delaying trying to find the perfect time. I mean, it's important to launch at the right time, obviously. You're not going to drop your update on the day a competitor that is larger is dropping theirs. But at some point, you know, you kind of got to rip the Band-Aid off. You are talking from Season 1, what we're currently in, to Season 2, it'll be like 7 or 8 months, maybe 9 months. That is, just for perspective, that is 4 seasons almost of D4 in between a last Epoch season. And obviously D4 is the biggest, like, not the best example, but just for perspective, you know, the core audience of last Epoch is going to be starved for content. And of course, we're excited for Season 2. Everything we've heard so far sounds like it is going to be amazing. So this is definitely something that they are going to need to figure out from a timing perspective and what they're going to do into the future. All right. This answer made me happy.
Do you plan to do PTR for next season launch with a little bit too much bug to get? Feels like a little bit too much bug get past QA, and maybe we can help track them down. Yes, you see, it's tired. Trying to work yourself the T's first. Ouch. I'm tired because I am a young mother. Not a game, I think, at this point, but yeah, fair enough. Yes. We do have a PTR. Oh, it's not PTR, it's PTR because it's private, not public. But yes, we do have a community tester program that we run. I don't know if there's, I don't know if we're opening up more spots to it right now or not. We do run a community tester program and have for years now, and are continuing to run it. There's a build that's going out to them sometime kind of soon, actually. New 1.2 content.
What? That is the first I heard of that. A new build coming to PTR soon where I'm going to be able to play under NDA. I won't be able to share. Don't try and get anything out of me. Season 2. If she is ever running out of money, this will make them a boatload.
Are there any plans for skins in MTX for the Echo of a World map right between echoes? I mean, that's really cool. Yeah, that's something that was pitched a little while ago that I love the idea of, because it almost would act like a hideout in a sense, but wouldn't be like out of the way, which is a big problem with most hideouts. Especially if you're playing with friends, it'd be a really natural progression to show it off and just sort of like happen whenever you're the host. I think it also makes a lot of sense to do it there because of like lore reasons.
Basically, a new skill teaser.
And you tease a little what stuff is coming for Sentinel. Sure.
That skill's
Here is a here's a node. Here's an upcoming node. This is we're far enough out that I'm going to put a little big asterisk beside this and say, you know, it could change, could be rebalanced, could be, you know, like numbers can fluctuate a little bit, but so when you jump forwards in time, all of your devouring orbs are pulled towards
CX and trigger leaked a new skill tree.
Soulmate, she's so perfect, blah blah blah. Oh, how I wish you wake up one day, run to me, confess your love, at least just let me say, or when I talk to you, oh, don't you fit. Bro, hello? Does he have the fucking time warp tonic? He was healing like a fucking set. I didn't catch the wave. I thought the what's his face might be coming here. But Jack's smart enough to notice that I didn't catch the wave, so he's not gonna get any free plates.
Can't do that yet.
Well, I'll be a living person.
He's walking top thinking we can kill this guy right now.
been slain. Enemy legendary.
That skill's not ready.
Unstoppable. Godlike. Your team has destroyed a turret. Your team has destroyed a turret. Your team has destroyed an inhibitor.
This morning when I went to my phone was a message from Matt, who sent me a really sad story about an adorable pet squirrel named Peanut who was confiscated from his home and euthanized by the Department of Environmental Conservation in New York. So I started my day with a frown. They also executed Fred the raccoon as well, another one of his pets. So the Department of Environmental Conservation was not really conserving the environment. Instead, they were preserving their KD ratio here, just piling up corpses of beloved pets of this man. It's disgusting. The reason the Department of Clowns gave is a load of barnacles. They got anonymous complaints, thus they showed up here like fucking every villain in Women's from SpongeBob, and they confiscated his pets because there was a risk of disease exposure through him having a squirrel and a raccoon in his home. And then when they were kidnapping the pets, one of the officers apparently got bit by the squirrel, and thus they were concerned about potential rabies. But the only way to test for rabies is on a dead animal, so they killed Fred and Peanut to test for rabies. An entirely avoidable tragedy here because there was no reason to confiscate them in the first place. First of all, the officer being bit is a pretty normal thing to happen here when you're abruptly taking an animal from its home. It's going to get scared and it's probably going to bite because it's frightened and doesn't know what to do. That's not exactly concerning, alarming behavior. That's unusual. And the owner had both Fred and Peanut for an extended period of time, and animals that have rabies usually don't last longer than 2 weeks. They're usually dead within 2 weeks. Of course, squirrels and raccoons can be vectors for rabies, but so can almost every other pet on the fucking planet, like dogs, for instance. Is the DEC going to start acting on anonymous phone calls claiming that their neighbor's dog might not have their rabies shot? Is the DEC going to bust through their fucking walls with a bazooka and start kidnapping people's dogs and euthanizing them to test for rabies? Probably not. I understand that raccoons are one of the largest vectors for rabies, but in this case the owner had him for so long that if it did have rabies it would have shown symptoms and had already been dead. And he had Peanut for 7 years. So I think both were in the clear there, and from everything I saw and everything I read, he wasn't being irresponsible, taking them to dangerous locations where they could be exposed to an infectious animal where they could contract rabies. So I think the risk of rabies exposure with this is pretty low. Yes, it is illegal to have wild animals as pets, but he had had Peanut for 7 years, had tried to release it back to the wild where Peanut got injured and it was clear he couldn't survive in the wild on his own anymore. The owner, the father of Peanut, his name is Mark Longo. He said that he found Peanut after his mother had been hit by a car, so he took him in, nursed him back to health. When he released him, it was clear he couldn't survive after getting injured pretty much immediately, and thus he had Peanut for 7 years, took him to vets, everything, did his due diligence, but he never, had a permit to own Peanut or Fred the Raccoon, and a bunch of anonymous weirdo losers on Instagram reported him to the DEC, who showed up with, 6 officials, he's had fucking 6 officers deep in there, like they're about to arrest Cobra Commander, and they took Fred and Peanut and then killed them. On October 30th, DEC seized a raccoon and squirrel sharing a residence with humans, creating the potential for human exposure to rabies. Now I recognize that might sound like a logical reason to people that may have just had a lobotomy, but as a hypochondriac, I have studied rabies extensively because I worry about every fucking disease and virus on the planet, and I can tell you that rabies isn't just some kind of random mutation that happens. They're not the fucking X-Men. Animals get rabies from infected animals. It doesn't just spawn in there. It's not the Walking Dead virus where they just have it by default. They'd have to be exposed to it through either a bite or a scratch from an infected animal, or in any way getting saliva from an infected animal inside of them. And in extraordinarily rare cases, there is something called aerosolized rabies, which has only been documented in very humid caves with a lot of bats where there's poor ventilation, so they have had non-bite exposure through that. But I don't think Mark Longo has taken Fred and Peanut to the fucking caves next door like he was Batman or something. So I don't think there was a huge risk of Fred or Peanut having rabies, considering they both lived with him inside of his residence. They then just go on to say that to test for rabies, both animals were euthanized. The animals are being tested for rabies. Anyone who's been in contact with them is strongly encouraged to consult their physician, and then decline to comment further on it. Peanut and Fred were not a risk to the environment or a risk to those around them. This was just a complete waste of department resources that could have been better spent doing literally anything else. Actually anything else. I don't get New York's priorities at all here. When it comes to shit that actually matters, they are so slow and unresponsive. Yet, when it comes to killing this dude's pets, they're like Goku with instant transmission. They're there and ready. It just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. But hats off to the DEC for quickly and promptly executing these pets, keeping the city safe, doing the important work, the dirty work that people are afraid to do, but it needs to get done. So, if you like animals, sleep in fear, because the DEC might come over and just slit their fucking throats at some point, just for fun. I think this is just ridiculous. As you can tell, I'm pretty upset by it. There's really no justification I can see for this. This did nothing to help anyone, it just killed this guy's pets. The people that anonymously complained about it from the internet are some of the most joyless, vile cretins. That is so pathetic. And from what I can tell, all this guy ever did was post cute videos with his squirrel Peanut. And he even has a non-profit for rescues where he has 300 something animals there. It's called the Peanut Freedom Farm. All this guy was doing was just minding his own business and posting adorable videos with his pet. And yet still, the loveless, brainless weirdos found a way to hate him for it, report him to the authorities to try and get his squirrel taken away, so that way he'd be as miserable as they are. I am still just blown away, jaw on the floor, with how quickly the New York DEC responded to this, to come over here and take this man's pets and then kill them. Because I know for sure that if you, right now in New York, called them up and said, "Help, I have a huge problem. I have raccoons and squirrels out the wazoo in my house. It's a major infestation. I think they might even be carrying rabies. I saw foam at the mouth. Help, I'm panicking. Can you get someone out here to come take them away?" They wouldn't show up. you'd wait 6 or 8 months if they even bothered to swing around there. You'd already be dead and your corpse fucking rotting in that house before they'd come around and actually try and do something about it. Yet for this case, with a social media superstar squirrel Peanuts, I guess they made an exception to get out there to execute him as promptly as possible. Now, as with everything, I've seen some people defending this, putting the cock of the DEC as deep down their throat as they can possibly muster, mostly on Reddit. I've seen a lot of Redditors running some PR here for the New York DEC. And the big thing they keep harping on is, it's Mark Longo's fault, he's a narcissist, because he posted videos of his squirrel for clout. He didn't have the proper paperwork, so play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Redditors love that one. They love that expression. That one's always a guaranteed thanks for the gold kind stranger moment. That's a certified Reddit platinum classic. So a not small number of Redditors in the comment section of this story that was on the front page were saying it's entirely Mark's fault. He is responsible for the death of these animals, and this was a justified action, barging into his home, taking them, and then euthanizing them. I think that is so fucking stupid. I think it's okay to say, like, why didn't he go through the process of getting whatever paperwork he needed? From what I can tell, he tried. In fact, he was in the process of getting Peanuts as a registered educational animal when this happened. And from also what I can tell, he was also planning on trying to release Fred after it was fully back to health. So apparently Fred was dropped off at his place, and they nursed Fred back to a healthy state, and they were planning on releasing him into the wild once he was ready to be. But even still, he did have Peanut for 7 years and didn't have the paperwork. Big fucking whoop. I don't think that should be a death sentence. I don't understand why people are so excited about the government's ability to just come into your home and kill your pets. Like, why is that something that people are going to try and champion? Like, Mark Longo's fault. Should have had that paperwork. Would have kept his animals alive. They'd still be breathing right now. I think this is a totally fair response, a totally fair punishment for not having paperwork. We're gonna kill your pets. I think that's stupid. Yes, I believe there was probably a way Mark could have had the paperwork earlier, sure. But I don't think it should be just a death sentence for the pets because he didn't. I think it's ridiculous. Unless there was extenuating circumstances where the animals were living in a terrible environment, they were in harm's way, they were abused or something like that, which has happened in the past. There have been stories where people have taken wild animals, domesticated them, and then they put them in like the worst possible conditions that they're living in, and eventually the authorities swoop in and take them. That has happened, and those I do think make sense. But here, in the case of Peanuts and Fred, I don't think there was any of that going on, at least not from what's been reported. I think if that was the case, the DEC would have absolutely tried to save their own ass, saying, when we went there, Peanuts was in a malnourished state, he was surrounded by filth, neglected, abused, or any of that. No information there, none of that was stated, so I don't think that's what happened here. This truly seems like a complete abuse of power. I don't think this was necessary at all. So yeah, anyway, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. That's it. See ya. Truth that just by looking at me, you probably couldn't guess that I have been active in the gym for about a decade now. In fact, my college degree is in human science with a concentration in exercise physiology. But I'm on a 5'6" frame and I keep myself lean so no one even knows that I'm ripped until I do like a flex and it ends up being a jump scare. I keep hyping myself up in the mirror and telling myself that today's the day I finally start wearing tighter clothing so people stop asking if I even go to the gym because it hurts my soul every time. Or maybe I just need to be shirtless more often so that way it's pretty obvious. But regardless, the reason I'm even mentioning this is because I've noticed over the last maybe 6 months, not even that long, but like the last 6 to 8 months, the gym has gone from being a place of like working on yourself, gains, you know, focusing on improving your overall health, to a place where people go to compete for viral TikTok videos of them being a victim.
What do you want?
Usually the content revolves around them filming themselves working out and then catching somebody looking at them and being a creep and a weirdo staring at them. Staring's a word I'm using very loosely here. And then sometimes, God forbid, that person comes over and asks them a question in between their sets. Normal human interaction has become fucking outlawed in the world of TikTok for some people. Now, I'm not saying this isn't a real thing. I'm not saying everyone that goes to the gym is an angel that can do no wrong. There definitely are creepy people that go there. I've certainly seen my fair share of weirdos in my days. In fact, one that always lives in my head rent-free is 2 years ago. A security guard at a private gym kept going over and sniffing a woman's ass as she was doing rows. I can't show the video, I don't think, because it might be against YouTube's new terms, but here's just a quick screenshot of his 4th ass sniffing attempt where he's just like huffing her fumes. He eventually does get caught and fired for it. The point is, there are weird people at the gym, but what's going on right now is everyone is filming themselves at the gym, which I already think is kind of weird. There's also like this fucking perpetual surveillance here with people making fucking TikToks everywhere. But while filming, they're not catching weird people doing weird things or harassing them. They're catching very normal gym goers doing normal things and then publicly shaming them and embarrassing them for doing nothing wrong. Now I'm going to show you the biggest one that I really think started really blowing this trend up and led to me finding out how large this has become and how big of a problem it's become.
This is how to not approach girls at the gym.
I hate this. I hate when there's sweet days. It's so uncomfortable. Feral, like fucking feral.
You can immediately see a problem here. She's making a stare counter every time the guy even glances in her general direction. What do you expect people to do at the gym? Just turn around and stare at a wall when they're done with their set like it's the fucking Blair Witch? Like, what are you expecting? The guy is in between his sets, so he's just looking around. He's not even staring at her. Now, if he was staring at her, then I could see being a little uncomfortable if he's just over there like, you know, fucking staring a hole through with like a goddamn like laser beams almost firing out. Like, I'd get that being weird. But this guy is just like glancing near her, and he's still getting just attacked for it by her.
The 5 adds 5 pounds. These are the weights.
Somehow the stare counter's at 5. I guess she's counting every time he's in between blinks now. And then she starts getting fearful because he's walking near her and wondering, questioning, why would he be doing that? Kind of like it's a scene out of a horror movie, like the boogeyman's, you know, you jingling keys trying to get in the door or something. But she immediately answers why he's walking over. It's because he's grabbing a sanitary wipe, showing good gym etiquette to go wipe down the machine he was just using.
Excuse me? You don't have to do that. It's okay. No, it's okay. I got it. Thank you, though.
Unfortunately, this guy made a big blunder here. He committed a cardinal sin. He tried to be helpful. So he offered to try and, you know, help out here because it looked like she was struggling, which she even mentioned she was hesitant to put the weight on, so he probably interpreted that as like, oh, okay, maybe I could be helpful here. Just being a genuinely nice person, I believe. And she even responds positively to it and then turns around and says this kind of shit. What if I just ripped his PP out of its socket so he could never reproduce again? Totally normal, not alarming thing to say. This is why I don't want kids. Natural selection better take the weirdos out. He's going to jail for staring at an underage 21-year-old. Where have we all gone wrong? What's happened to the world where that is a statement said earnestly? He's going to jail for staring at an underage 21-year-old. There's more to unpack there than a fucking 2-week vacation suitcase. I could unpack this shit for hours. He wasn't staring. There's no such thing as an underage 21-year-old. 21 years old? What if you're not a kid at all? You can legally butt-chug Budweiser now. Unless this is some kind of weird self-owned kind of thing where she has the mentality of a child, thus this guy should go to jail for what she perceives as staring at her. I don't know. Like, I can't even, like, remotely figure out what she was even trying to say with that last statement. But anyway, I'm not going to keep going too deep on this one because everyone has already dunked on it. She's issued an apology about everything. But I want to give a quick shout out to Joey Swole. He's a very prominent